Hello everyone, my name is Yasmine and I'm here today to talk about my self-identity. First, a little bit about my personal history and who I am. I was born during the Sagittarius season in Tampa, Florida. Really, if you're interested in what my birthday is, it's December 21st of 1998. I was born deaf, and I'm deaf because of a genetic gene that has caused me to be deaf. There's actually 4 members of my family who are deaf, including me. That's my mom, my aunt, my older cousin, and then clearly me. A little bit of a fun fact. Actually, my cousin is, well, you know the international games, the Olympics? My cousin is actually part of the men's basketball team for the Deaf Olympics, which is kind of cool. During my time before college, I went to 1 public school and 2 residential schools for the deaf. I went to public school K through 3, then I went to a residential school. The first residential school, you might see the picture of the dragon here, and that's the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind. I was there from 4th grade through high school, except the picture below that, the Eagles, I transferred to Washington, D.C. There's a school there called the Model Secondary School for the Deaf, MSSD. I was there for a year, realized it wasn't going to work out, and I transferred back to Florida School for the Deaf and Blind, FSDB. I do have 1 pet. You can see that picture in the bottom right. That's me and my pet, just the one. My whole family is very athletic. Really, we're all very competitive. We like to win. And for me, I would much rather play sports and be athletic than focus on my academics. That's just my mindset. I'm also an outdoors person, as you can see in the top right-hand corner, that picture. I like camping, I like hiking, really everything outdoors. I like the fresh air. I also have what's called Waardenburg syndrome, and there's different types. I myself have type 2. There's 4 types in total though. If you're interested, you can look it up, but I'll give you a brief explanation. Waardenburg syndrome is a very rare genetic mutation that changes the looks of someone. Typically you have blue eyes, you'll have white patches of your hair, you'll also have different patches on your skin. For me, I do have white on my hair. I have much lighter fingers, and then one of my legs, my left leg, has a piece of white hair, and then my right leg has a whiter or lighter patch of skin. You can see the picture down there in the bottom left. That shows me as a baby, and you can see the white hair there. Now I'll talk a little bit about my values. For me, I love my family and friends, curiosity, freedom, humor, and being open-minded. Family and friends are important to me because really without my family and friends, I wouldn't have their love and the support and the understanding of the world around me that I do. The top left picture is me and my family all signing I love you. The glasses on the left is my deaf aunt. The middle clearly is me. The right-hand side is my mom, who is hard of hearing. And then in the front middle is my little niece. She's hearing, but she does know sign language. Then for friends, you see the top right-hand picture is me and my friends. Curiosity I value because there's something happening in the world every day, and I want to know what's happening, so I have an increased knowledge of the world around me. Next is freedom. I mean, of course, I think that freedom is important because I'm a woman. I want to have women's rights. I appreciate and value those. I also want to be able to make decisions on my lifestyle and make up my own mind about the things that I do and don't want to do without someone else telling me what I can and cannot do. I definitely value freedom. Next up is humor. Humor is so important to me because of just my personality. It's kind of like human nature for me. I like to uplift spirits with humor. I would much prefer to laugh than to be angry or upset. I think you can also use different types of humor, like dark humor in a serious conversation, to really uplift the mood. And that's what people do in the real world all the time. And last here is open-mindedness. I love to learn different things and to learn from different viewpoints. I love to learn different beliefs, whether they be religious or what have you. I definitely want to keep an open mind in every interaction that I have. That video is a TikTok dance, and you might be wondering why I put that in there. But for me, some of my cultural traits are first, language. I clearly use American Sign Language, ASL. I am using it 24/7 in all aspects of my life. I don't use my voice at all. I'm a technical issue. The interpreter can't see Yasmine again. All right, we'll continue from here. Again, I use American Sign Language 24/7. I don't use my voice. I lip read, I'll mouth in English some, but for me, 24/7, it applies to all aspects of my life. As I said, I was born deaf and I need American Sign Language to communicate with the world around me. Really, through ASL, I'm able to express myself, to communicate my thoughts and feelings. Maybe, hearing people have short phrases that for me, I'm able to emphasize and see the bigger picture in ASL more than I would in reading a simple English saying. For me, I am Christian. Growing up, I went to church every Sunday. But then after I went to the residential school for the deaf, I rarely started going to church because I didn't live at home. I was about 4 to 5 hours away from home, so I didn't really have time. I would need to use the transportation, the bus, to get back to school on Sundays, so I just never had time to go back to church. Some family traditions that we have are we do get together for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, those big holidays. For us, our traditions look like pretty stereotypical Thanksgiving food, turkey, sides. After Thanksgiving, we always watch football. We also end up playing board games with one another, sometimes card games like Uno, or we'll do old-fashioned games too from like the 80s and 90s, which is fun for me because I'm always learning new games. Plus, clearly we live in Florida and it's a little bit cooler outside, so we typically go outside and play a round or two of football as well. Then on Christmas is pretty much the same. We follow the stereotypical Christmas food. We have a lot of desserts. Plus, we always watch the basketball game. We do the same thing, play board and card games. But just like Thanksgiving, it's already getting pretty cold. We don't typically go outside on Christmas because it's much too cold, even in Florida. We do often watch a movie, though. We typically watch The Grinch every year because we just have been doing it, and it's tradition for us. We all love it. Easter Day, of course, we go to church on Easter Sunday. Then after church, what we do is the church actually hosts an egg hunt. So we'll get involved with that egg hunt. And then sometimes instead of doing that, we'll just host Easter at our house and play some different games. Like we'll hide real eggs along with the candy stuffed eggs. We'll hide some of the eggs that have money inside. Maybe you'll have just a paper inside that if you pull that out, it says like, you have dish duty, or every Friday you have to do the dishes, or things like that. That's just kind of a fun tradition at the house. Now, for hobbies and what I like to do for fun, I like to play sports, as I mentioned. I like to skateboard, I like to work out, and I love TikTok dances, which is why I put that video at the beginning of this slide. Next up is my visible culture. For me, I have some favorite foods. My family is Southern. We all live in Southern states, and of course in Black culture we have what's typically known as comfort food. I really love my mom and my grandma's cooking. They make something called King Ranch chicken, macaroni and cheese, and that's the picture on the bottom right. It's something that has been my favorite for many years. Then my family's typical favorite popular dessert that is always made is banana pudding. We make it, then you have to put it in the fridge for 2 or 3 hours, and it tastes so much better once it's cold. Now, another visible culture is behaviors. For me, my family is always preaching that you can't leave your shoes and have bare feet in the house. And really, there's reasons for that. You have two options. You can wear socks or you can have your shoes on. You cannot have bare feet in the house. And my family believes in that because they just feel like it's disgusting to be walking around without shoes or at least socks on. You're going to get little pieces of dirt and germs all over, and none of us like that. Plus, we don't think it's very respectful or polite to be leaving more dirty footprints all over the house. Now, for me, I feel a little bit like the black sheep of the family because I do like being barefoot. I hate having shoes on. I want to have that freedom of no shoes. Now, my aunt has always told us that after you play any sort of game, you have to shake hands. If you won't shake hands, that's considered disrespectful. Doesn't matter win or lose, you have to be respectful after. Be a good sport. And last here is my grandparents. My grandparents always taught me to be polite, to have good manners, whether someone else is not nice to you, if they're being spiteful in any way, you just have to be respectful because otherwise karma will come back at you. Now for invisible culture. This is on talent. Now, I said I am great at sports. I love sports, everything, A to Z. But how those get incorporated into my life is because since I was a kid, I've been involved with team sports. I played basketball, I was on the track team, I was on the cross country and volleyball team, and it just became part of my culture, part of my everyday life. Sports have also helped me a lot with my own culture because sports can be connected back to the real world. Sports have taught me teamwork. They've taught me self-discipline. They've taught me accountability and responsibility. So all of these things that I've learned from my team sports have been able to apply to my everyday life as well. And sometimes I learn a new lesson in life that I remember back to having learned in sports. I also really like video games, and I'm pretty good at them. There's a whole gambit of video games, and there are skills necessary. So for me, I'm pretty good at sports and also at outdoors things, at any sort of activity. I'm really good at the game dodgeball. I'm crazy for dodgeball because my school growing up used to play dodgeball, and it's been one of my favorite sports ever since. I'm always very eager to play. My favorite part of dodgeball is a game called Protect the King and Queen. And what you do is you have the full court, and then you have a pole with a ball on the top of each pole. And then you have to have 3 people who are defending that pole on either team. And the opposite team starts to throw the dodgeballs. If you end up hitting the pole and the ball falls over, then that means the game is over. So that is the king or queen that you have to protect. And that's it, the end. Thank you for watching me.